correctly with the correct amount.
D20 Radio, where gamers roll.
www.d20radio.com.
Welcome back to the How We Roll Gaming podcast, everyone. The very first thing that I want to say is, as we are recording this very day of our recording, happy birthday, Nick.
Yes, happy birthday.
Thank you. It's not just my birthday, it's also my twin sister Nicole's birthday.
What?
Obviously.
Twin sister has a birthday on the same day? How's that work? That was very coincidental.
Ask your parents about that. They'll explain it.
So I hope you gave her a lot of what she wanted, Nick.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. She got a lot of cookies, and she got a lot of plus toys.
That's good. So we'll see you next year.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And now, we still need, still need to figure out, well, I guess it'll be a surprise because they are gifts, what you're getting all of us in our group for Christmas. We went around and gave our Christmas list to you last weekend.
Indeed.
Yeah, just getting you guys lap desks.
I mean,
if it's one like yours, that'll work because I need a new one.
Actually, he's right. Yeah, I'll take one just like yours.
I desperately need a new one. So that works for me.
If you can pair it with the new laptop, I'd love
it.
In this economy?
I think you can swing it.
But we know gaming wise, that what we did over the weekend, but just in general, what have you guys been up to since the last time we convened?
Well, I've just been getting ready for the holidays. Got to get the remainder of my gifts, and then this week I've got a Christmas party tomorrow. Then I've got one on Friday, and then if I can make it, there's a movie night on Saturday. Sunday's going to be actually my kind of rest day, just to be like, I'll be with my family, but still, like, won't have to do anything.
Yeah.
Yep.
Personally, just sort of the same thing. Talking and communicating with old friends. I spent most of the day actually getting like calls and just talking, catching up with some people that I can't see as often as I used to, but still wanted to wish me a happy birthday. And also preparing for, it's going to be a pretty chill movie night this Saturday. We're just going to watch we're going to watch a holiday special that we all know and tolerate, and we're going to watch one of my favorite holiday specials too.
We don't tolerate it, Nick. We experience it.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. It's a rite of passage.
And our Sunday's going to be spent in our last minute rush to finish getting the house ready because going to have family in next week. And I just get through work Monday and then I'm off until the new year.
Similarly, Sunday will be a rest day for, I guess it would be a pseudo rest day for most of us.
Yeah, and then good on you, Daryl. I'll just get off Christmas and the Friday after that, and I still got to go to work the next week.
Oh, that's rough.
Well, yeah, it's okay.
It could be worse. It's not like I always be like, oh, you gotta give it at least 3 days. In my opinion,
I try to give myself 4-day weekends after a holiday.
Well, really and truly, I'm only taking 6 days of PTO because of holidays that are in there. But I always hold off because my dad comes in from out of town for a few days, and so. But
and wish him hello from us because he's been a big, without being he's been a big part of your a Walking Dead campaign.
Yeah, he
Yes.
gives you
So-
all the ideas because he actually lives there.
So we would like to send him our welcomes that he's helped you so much with that, even though he's not
Mhm.
seen.
You make the game so much fun, sir.
Be sure to let him know how many times his contributions
Has led
been
to your
practiced again.
character's death.
Yeah, I guess so too.
Yes, and then
I'm sure that would elicit some joy for him.
yeah, is your job one of those if you don't use your PTO you lose it kind of deals, Daryl?
Yes, under the new company that I'm doing the same job that I've been
Oh
doing for 15 years.
yeah.
Yes, it's use it or lose it. But I've always, taken off about this same amount of time every year at the end of the year because my dad always comes in around Christmas because the day after Christmas is also our son's birthday. And
Yay.
so by the time you factor in the days that we're closed for holidays, it's like, why am I going back in until, why am I staying? Why would I go in before January 2nd? Now, this year, it's kind of silly. I am going in on the 2nd, which is a Friday. I will be back on a Friday and then take a weekend off because I didn't think about how, since it's use it or lose it, Friday the 2nd is a whole new year's worth of PTO pool.
Yeah, that's kind of the same for me. I forgot to do that.
I might still have time to request it off here in the next couple of days.
Yeah,
I'll figure it out.
yeah, with my job we're allowed to roll over about 40 hours. But yeah, I'm too late in December to where it's not far enough out that I can request PTO on a Friday. They'll be like, "No, we've already scheduled it. We can't do that."
Right.
That's rough.
Yeah, my previous company doing the same job at the same
But at
company.
least roll over 40 is
for
still
the
pretty,
same client.
decent.
Yeah, we could roll over up to 40 under the old company. And that's why I wasn't thinking anything of it. I was just so used to that after 15, 16 years of being able to roll over up to 40 that back in September, October, our boss and our corporate headquarters is in Prague. And our boss is like, hey, you guys have PTO that you need to use. You've got a lot of PTO that you need to use.
Hi, Germany.
That's a
Republic.
really cool story, Daryl.
Yes, Nick, we know you toil so much at your own job that you can barely get time off.
Yes. Nick, your boss is unreasonable with how little PTO he gives you.
Well, I was trying to tee you off for something, Daryl.
What I figured that there was a setup, but I couldn't figure out what the setup was for.
Yeah, because we still haven't given our little shout out before we get started.
It's a good story you told.
Oh, I see what you did there now. Okay, yeah. Because we're going to talk about
It's a bit too early to bully me, Daryl. That's the end of the podcast.
Yes, but there will so much bullying.
We have so much.
But we do want to let everybody know about another one of the wonderful shows here on the D20 Radio Network, and that is the Story Told podcast, which continues its exploration of RPGs with discussion and reviews, interviews, and more, with Logan as your main host and currently still a rotating array of guest hosts.
In fact, as we record this, the most recent episode brings Clark Rowanson to the show to discuss his book Spawn Point and the world of lit RPGs.
Give the Story Told podcast a listen wherever you get your podcasts or through the handy link to their site in the show notes.
Yep. Now, are we ready to dive into our topic?
Oh, we are ready. At least I am. Don't know about
I'm
Nick.
ready.
All right. Well, we do want to take a quick moment before we dive into this episode's subject matter for a bit of introductory groundwork, some boilerplate, if you will, because we know that on the surface, the subject matter that we're going to be talking about can be a bit of a hot button. Now, while some RPG world religions can reflect or be based on real world religions, that's really not what we're going to be talking about. We're not going to be talking about real world religions, pro or con, advocating for or against, or anything like that. However, even in some fantasy settings like D&D, religions can be front and center and baked into the game structure. So, we're going to be examining how to use these themes in your fictional settings and narratives.
Exactly. And I'll frame beforehand that as a Christian myself, some of what I will talk about or think about will be colored from that perspective. Just heads up.
I
Yep.
myself am a Christian as well, but of a potentially different flavor. I've never gone into the exact nature of my faith, but that's just sort of, I keep it to myself.
And I am our resident heathen atheist.
But the
But
main factor is like, I think a good thing to start off is saying that that should be something brought up during a session zero boundaries.
Exactly. Because I know every time we do a session zero, one of our new campaigns, my thing is always I don't want religion bashing, or at least in my case, Christian religious bashing in any of my any campaigns I'm in.
Personally, I believe that I will acknowledge that certain games have more religious connections to the real world or not. But I would say that, like, especially in fantasy zones, is like, yes, there's some. It's impossible to not see that there are inspirations from the real world for fictional religions. I ask to, like, just accept them as they are, especially like some as hostile in one of my campaigns in the Hopeless Situation Warriors. The Church of the Silver Frame is rather controversial, but they are meant to be
Yeah, they were made
controversial.
to be controversial, and it's not the only controversial religion in there. There's the kingdom. The kingdom is escaping me, but basically bunch of
Karnath,
necromancer Karnath. They're basically a bunch of necromancers that worship death or something.
yeah, and they have themselves. They're a nation that built an army of death and have a cult that they are kind of their pseudo state religion, but many people don't like it. That also is a bunch of necromancers.
Or heck, even the D&D show that Critical Role is now on Amazon, Mighty Nine. One of the big forces in there is the Kreen Dynasty, which has a religion. Like fully, they're like basically a theocracy, and they kind of get into that as well.
Again, like they are often based off of, because we live in a real world, and those fictional worlds do take inspiration from the real. But it's like in a religion, if it's in a fictional scenario, I say, like, acknowledge that there are some unfortunate parallels to past and or moments of religious moments that are traumatic,
Yes,
but it's part of the story.
because I ascribe to the thing. It's not the religion itself that causes the issues for per se. It's more humans, because anything structured in a human manner is going to have a little bit of brokenness and dark times in it, no matter where it is.
In the same way that, say that you could have someone with some politics that you disagree with, but it's mostly someone who's using politics for the worst parts.
now, years and years and years ago, back when dinosaurs walked the earth, in the first Star Wars RPG campaign that I was in, we had rotating GMs. And this was, I had some experience GMing, but not a lot. And I was one of the rotating GMs. Now, I had the whole thought going on in my head that, okay, our characters are not Luke, Han, Leia. They're not the main characters of the movies. So
A good start.
they're not going to be the ones who blow up the Death Star and defeat the Empire. But I want some ways for them to have major victories. And so, in addition to coming up with my own large Imperial siege platform that was kind of a recurring threat through my parts of the campaign, I also decided, okay, I want to bring another large faction into the galaxy so that, if the players choose to kind of focus on that for a little bit and take it down, they have the ability to quote unquote defeat the Empire, but not derail the continuity of the movies, right?
Of course.
So I wanted to give it a different flavor than just copy pasting the Empire. And I started picking up some visuals and even wholesale swiped the name from Jim Starlin's 1980s comic Dreadstar.
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking
And
about. Yeah,
and so I
that was a good stuff.
introduced what Starlin called the Holy Church of the Instrumentality, and its leader, the Lord High Papal. I swiped those directly from Dreadstar.
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah,
But I had to figure out, okay, how does this fit into Star Wars? How can I fit this into Star Wars? It's like, okay, well, they have their own sorts of dogma. Um, the Lord High Papal is a Force user, and their dogma is, just keying off of the name, the instrumentality is what they called, is how they referred to the interconnected nature of the Force and life. And because they had this high level view of the instrumentality of life, they found artificial intelligence like droids and things like that to be sacrilegious. And
interesting.
this is before the Yuuzhan Vong. This is long before the Yuuzhan Vong.
So
Oh,
they
there's
stole
like
it from you.
Yes, they were already listening to me.
honestly though, it does also sound like the prophets of the dark side on Droman Cause from the Church of the Dark Side. There was
And
always like before even the canon creation of like the Final Order and the Sith Eternal. There was always the idea that the end game would be like a Sith theocracy.
right. And making the and the Holy Church of the Instrumentality had their own large section of the galaxy that they controlled. They were autonomous from the Empire. And the Lord High Papal, being the Lord High Papal, was sitting back and watching the Galactic Civil War play out with the plan and idea of, once this is over, one side's going to win. I don't care which side wins. But the side that wins is going to be stretched thin, is going to be weak. And that's when
Oh,
we
hello there.
yes, that's when we spread the word of the instrumentality by force if need be.
Again, that
And
does feel
so
like very much like a Palpatine level plot. That is his plot multiple times.
Yeah,
and
that was the entire
so
plot in the Clone Wars. Like, I'm going to let them break each other down and then build something out of it.
yeah.
And even when he
And
lost, he's like, okay, I'll let the major faction happen, but it's like I'm controlling it from the behind the scenes, and when I need to, I'll pop back up.
yeah, and so that was there. It was kind of a simmering
Oh, that even
secondary
goes back
antagonist.
to Vitiate and the Eternal Empire too. Like,
Yeah, and so they
okay,
could.
so they stole all those ideas from you. I'd say you'd sue, but the mouse owns things, so I don't think you
Yeah,
can beat them.
yeah. I don't have resources to fight the mouse in court.
Honestly, I think I might even go all the way back to Sun Tzu. It's like, if two people are fighting, let them fight each other out, and you just take the weaker one when they're done.
But I think Sun Tzu's in the public domain. He probably has a horror movie based on him now.
But I had I had the instrumentality sitting there, and I could bring them in to play with them as I wanted to. When I started my Raggedy Edge campaign in the FFG system, I used the instrumentality a couple of times. Same reason, but by that time I had more years of experience telling stories and running games under my belt, so I was able to fine tune the concepts more. And like the one time that I know that I ran the Raggedy Edge group through an instrumentality session is there was a farming world on the edge of instrumentality space that they were on the verge of famine because the crops weren't couldn't be harvested properly. They were growing, but they couldn't be harvested properly. And so there were some farmers there on that world who were like, yes, this is against what we believe in, but, and they purchased some third, fourth hand decommissioned separatist battle droids that were supposedly being reprogrammed as harvest droids to use. And so the danger of that session came from two different directions. On the one direction, how frequently does it work out when you hear that separatist battle droids have been reprogrammed?
Yeah,
Almost never.
that's usually a recipe.
I think the only time it worked was on Iego.
And
Gabriel
even
knew what
that,
he was doing.
he knew what he was doing. So just in general, it's like separatist battle droids is usually just a code for like, well, this
It's
is
also
not
you're
going to go
taking a
well.
machine designed for war, designed to kill, and trying to make it do something else. Inevitably, it's going to try and do its regular programming.
And if you're especially going with B1s, they are not the best thinkers.
I also think droids are they inherently drawn to violence. If an astromech like R2 and Chopper are any examples.
Yes. And so there's the one piece of danger that came in. The other piece of danger, and I can't remember what I renamed them to, because way back in the olden days, in the old campaign, they were called Inquisitors, but I didn't want to muddy the waters with Imperial Inquisitors.
Arbiters,
But
maybe?
I don't remember what I called them. The instrumentality had basically their own Jedi, for want of a better term, but again, structured with a religious hierarchy, and they report directly to the papal, and
But again, arguably, the Jedi are a religion.
and
Oh, they most certainly
the way,
are, and the Sith.
Yeah.
the way I kind of differentiated them as well. Obviously, no lightsabers because that's kind of a Jedi Sith thing.
Mhm.
But because of the different philosophy surrounding the Force that the instrumentality had, these quote unquote Jedi, whatever I called them, they all had it. And partly this is because in looking for artwork to show my players, I was finding more fantasy based artwork that was like this. And so
Yeah,
I
that's
used it.
fair.
But each of them had a prayer book chained to their wrist.
Oh,
And
Oh.
they had
kind of
prayers.
like a classical cleric.
That or
Yeah.
like what you see in Warhammer, like the battle clerics always have something like
Yeah.
vested.
Yeah. And so they had prayers to use the Force.
I think it fits in with like certain
Like
things,
chance,
like
yeah, I like that.
with like the in modern canon, the Night Sisters. They have their
Yeah.
magic.
They're incantations.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, it's one of those things that I used it once, maybe twice in that campaign, but I always still have it in my back pocket
Yeah.
if I want to use it in a Star Wars campaign, to the point that I have a doctored up map of the galaxy that I had downloaded and that I was able to edit already, that I went in and I, drew a border around the instrumentality space. I put some instrumentality worlds in there, and I put a couple of hyper lanes in there. Um, one of which was named blatantly stealing a line from a Les Miserables song, but their main hyperspace lane going through instrumentality space was called the Path of the Righteous.
Pretty
Hey,
neat.
So,
imitation, not thievery.
Yeah.
Flattery.
no, it's thievery. It's
Yeah.
thievery. And at this point, I will refer to the Me and Steve Talk RPGs episode that our friend Brev guest starred on. That was about stealing from movies for RPGs.
He can accuse you when he pops out of his grave.
Hey, that's one of the beauties of Star Wars, because on their map, one side's completely, literally called the Unknown Regions.
Yes, and that's where it was.
And guess what? It's like, all right, we can put there's
Whatever.
some things there, but it's like most of that is like free real estate.
Yep, and this will probably have already happened by the time, it will have already happened, but those of you watching on the YouTube version of the podcast, I will toss the graphic for that map up on the screen for a few seconds. But I have yammered on about my example of what I have used.
Yes, but
Feel
it
free.
brings a good example, because you can always make an antagonist or an enemy out of a religion. Pretty much, like we said, the Sith are pretty much a religion based on evil and being selfish and doing whatever you want, basically dominating life.
The antithesis of the Jedi, which they spawned off of. They are a splinter. They came off of a ideal order, which themselves are not perfect.
So yeah, if you always think it, you could use your own imagined religious institution as your main bad guy. Not only just fighting the leaders of that religion, but the institution itself. Because if your campaign is centered around a theocracy, that's a very big thing to fight. That's almost like a revolution.
Yeah.
Or you could go to the similar things that many people can do and have done in both D&D and beyond, is just you can make a cult. Cults are always the go-to thing. Like, I need a group of bad guys. Let's make a cult.
It's the default for most Call of Cthulhu and Eldritch horror-based games. You have a cult. It could be as small as like 5 guys who found a deep one. It was like, this guy's cool. I don't know what he's saying, but he teaches us some weird magic stuff.
Yeah, and I may be morphing and going cringe, but hey, I got this awesome powers. So
to like a full on like pseudo Scientology cult that has hundreds of thousands of members, tons of influence, and actual power.
Yeah, I mean, it's not a surprise that one of the archetypes for a villain is the fanatic. Basically, the person that has a cause or ideal or belief that they just are so taken with so strongly that anything antithesis to it, they just fight against. And
again, like
that can be a scary opponent for your players. Someone so deep in their own ideal that they will do anything and everything because they believe so strongly,
including such extreme motives. Like, I've had characters that were religiously motivated that have done some really tough things.
Yes. And
But
through
it was
that,
meant to exemplify that they are extreme and dangerous because they believe so fully in what they believe in.
yes, and they can also be intriguing in that way because maybe they're so believed in an ideal that they kind of have no regard for themselves. Like you trap them under a rock trying to stop the ritual. Well, they believe so much they want that ritual done that they'll literally like cut off their arm to try and stop you. That's how strongly they believe.
And it's a great role playing situation, especially for characters that put in a lot of like social points into their character.
Yes. And also
They might
not
want
even
to talk them down from like a situation, but they can't because well they are in they're coming from a space that cannot be talked down from.
yes, or even maybe not the religious institution itself is the bad thing. Maybe it actually has good tenets, but like Daryl, Nick, and I have said, there are just people inside the institution that are going to try and twist it for their own ends. Heck, maybe one of your characters is part of that religion and knows there's this higher up trying to twist it and use it towards his own ends. So it's kind of like I want to try and stay true to these ideals while having to almost fight against the people leading it.
That creates an interesting conflict of like, especially if said religion has like a hierarchy, like a quote unquote higher priest or order is not living up to the ideals, but you as a player knows that I must respect those ideals, but I must also then go against the order's precepts of someone above me.
Yeah, a good example actually is using a Star Wars example is in the beginning, Count Dooku was kind of that type of person. He was a Jedi. He believed in the Jedi principles, so much so that when he saw the corruption of the Senate and that the Jedi were basically just Senate lackeys, he was such an idealist and a believer that he couldn't accept that, and he broke off. So,
Ultimately,
and
he
later down the
fell.
line, got corrupted and turned to the dark side. But in the beginning, he was like, "I believe in this too strongly to just let the status quo stay the status quo."
You can see where where characters can grow and develop. Like maybe your character does see the corruption, but does become corrupt themselves in a different way. There's the story potential of having such a thing has so many different avenues, both as antagonist, as ally, as a test for your character's personal moral beliefs. Like everyone makes fun of like the cleric that's way or the paladin that is way too pious, way too dogmatic.
But hey, maybe that lawful goodness or that dogmacy can lead to good conversations to where you're like, that dogmatic character believes in these ideals so strongly. Maybe maybe they spent their entire life growing up in this, and this is literally like this is all they know. If even one of these things is wrong, then was my entire life for nothing? Was everything I believed in for nothing? That can be a good like confrontation point
Especially
between
with
themselves
characters,
or with someone else.
especially with characters who are not of the faith.
Exactly.
A character can literally call out a paladin is like, you're being too harsh or being too dogmatic. It's like, this is what I know and what I believe is absolute, but like they can have a perspective and be like, to temper that.
Yes, and it's also a good point that we're bringing up is that while it's easy to use a religious institution as an antagonistic force, it can also be an assisting force. It can be a mentoring force. It can be just something good because there's good as well as bad. It's always about how it's interacted, how it changes, how it grows, and
It's
who
about
influences it.
the narrative of the story. Is again like ultimately every aspect of a RPG is part of the story,
Yes.
and how your characters interact with that is the most important factor.
Yeah, I don't remember what game it was, but around the same time as that original Star Wars campaign, we were experimenting with different systems to see which one would stick. And ultimately, Star Wars ended sticking. I don't remember which system it was, but my roommate at the time made a character. I want to say that I was proposing running a DC Heroes campaign, and he made this character for that. And but what he came up with was it's actually kind of similar to your Delta Green character, Robert. Is that he was a
Oh yeah, we do
Catholic
have to talk
priest,
about that at least.
Oh, I will definitely talk about. I'll definitely talk about him.
but he was a Catholic priest who was part of a super secret sub order. Um, I don't remember what he called it. I know what I now call it because I have ideas to transform the concept into a series of books and a Genesis setting, for that matter. It went even further than yours, Robert. It wasn't just, yes, we know the supernatural exists and we're going to do some things to push back on it. They had an arsenal of mystical weapons and tools and things like that that they used to combat the supernatural. It was a great character. That's part of why the character has stuck with me, even though I don't think we ever played that game. But the
No,
character stuck
it's a
with me.
shame.
The character stuck with me, and why I have ideas for stories for this character, and that he was a world weary character because of all of the things that he'd seen. And it also had an interesting twist. The reason I think it was DC Heroes is because I remember thinking that there was an interesting twist there to be had, an interesting angle of, if you're this kind of character from this kind of organization in a world that has the supernatural and the superhuman, where do you draw the line? How do you differentiate what is supernatural and what is superhuman, and what is under your purview and needs to be eliminated based upon your belief system?
That is interesting. That's an interesting
Yeah, that
concept.
is a good question.
And spoiler alert,
What is technically a blessing? What is also then like, oh, you just fell into the wrong type of toxic sluts. Guess you're a superhero
Yeah,
now.
what's blessing and what's basically mutation,
Because honestly, like you could argue like
or are mutations blessings?
that's like there again, like it's like if like the classic example is like the Hulk. Is the Hulk could be a mutant, but all could be mutated by the gamma bomb, but it's also like, well, anyone else would have died.
Yeah, it's also that. Yeah, anyone else would have died. So maybe there is a hand in that.
and spoiler alert, you as we all know, as a GM, you take and you get player buy-in,
Hmm.
but you take liberties to, like, build out a little bit, some usually with that player's assistance, that organization that they're part of. And so what I had rolling around in the back of my head that was going to be a penny drop later on is that
Oh wait, is this a
immediate,
spoiler alert?
yes, his immediate
Mm.
superior, having had been, out in the trenches like he was years before, but and because of everything that he'd seen and looking for a shortcut to get rid of all of this supernatural evil, had aligned himself with the supernatural big bad.
Ooh,
The road to
interesting.
hell, as they say.
They've a good
Exactly.
they've a good intentions.
So that penny drop was going to be in there, but again, we never played that campaign.
I don't
So
know. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear anything. Did you
I didn't hear no bell.
There might be two missing listeners to this episode. So, in case you might be interested, wink, wink, nuds, nuds.
Yes, and then I'll jump on that since we're talking about not just using religions, institutions, or people, but also just maybe making a character steeped in a religious belief. Like in our Delta Green campaign, my character is Father Castillo, who is actually part of the Vatican, like the actual Catholic Church, but he works in the exorcism department. Because I was like, okay, Delta Green's all about secret organizations that know about the supernatural. Well, the Vatican does have a entire department full of exorcists, so they're the ones that know about the supernatural, that work with Delta Green and other organizations that know this. So Castillo is a liaison, basically, in our group between them and the Vatican. And he is deeply religious, deeply believes in God, and he has to struggle with that full set on belief versus what he's experiencing in every case. Like, we're going through impossible landscapes, dealing with the King in Yellow, and Castillo is just dead set on his faith in God. Even when he's seeing all this, he's trying not to waver.
It actually
And
really helps because there's a whole lot of like the King in Yellow has a whole lot to do with a whole lot of different religiosities, and it's a very fascinating. There's some great videos out there on YouTube.
yes,
I recommend
and
one by Windigoon, really good.
yes, and my player character actually has a lot of willpower, a lot of power itself to reflect that religious belief. And it's going to be fun going through it to have him confront these things versus his deep belief. And even you, Nick, pointed out in the Delta Green universe that a belief in something can even turn into something real in that. And it's showing between how he's steadfast. He'll take a sanity hit, but he'll still rely. He won't try and break. We'll see in the future how, once he eventually reaches a break point, because it's Delta Green, how that'll actually
But it's basically the nature of like, there's nothing that disproves proves the Christian God in Delta Green. Everything else is an eldritch being of incredible power that can grant power and manipulates the very fabric of reality, like a god.
Yes. So
Honestly, the closest thing is like, without further spoiling, but like the King in Yellow is the closest thing to like being like belief makes it real.
Yes, and it's going to be fun exploring that, and it's also fun that I've established that the priest also got hands.
Oh, like we're currently in the quote unquote off season of Impossible Landscapes, Impossible Locations. So it's like, and we just sort of, whenever we ask like, where is the father? he's doing hands or some demons.
Pretty much, he's just. We've got death metal in the background as I'm just fighting against a demon in the mountains or something. And so when he did come in your first off one shot, where we were dealing with Slenderman, and the priest actually, in his beliefs, had to make a choice and did something else, which may be fun to establish later.
Well, and spoiler alert for future downtime stuff in Delta Green, since the group's characters are starting to bond. When Rook gets married a few sessions from now, he's gonna ask Padre to officiate.
He'll be like, oh, usually I'm not that type of priest, but hey, why not?
It's a joyous occasion for a change.
He's like, oh, I'm not trying to drive a demon out of someone. I'm joining someone in holy matrimony. Huh.
He comes in with the crucifix and a shotgun. It's like, oh.
It's like, oh, this is just in case.
I'll set this aside.
Is this not what is meant by shotgun wedding?
I thought we were going to Vegas. But yes, that's so. Yeah,
Well,
we've
I mean,
talked about. You go ahead.
that's a way that makes sense story wise. Since the group is becoming Rook's friends, for him to invite the father to the wedding and explain why he knows a priest from the Vatican.
It's
I'd like to
well, in
imagine
my
you described it.
travels, I meet people.
I don't like
So
to. I like to imagine that Rook would explain it to his bride to be just like, "Don't worry, I know a guy."
You know a guy.
Hey, Padre, and you're just in the middle of like
yeah, I'm just
facing,
oh,
facing
shit.
down, like
Oh, shit.
facing down Annabelle, but it's like, wait, I got a call.
Or it's like I'm a little busy at the moment.
A wedding. I may have done one or two of
really?
those.
Like when I was really, really young, like really young.
Just hear a couple like shotgun blasts going. I was like, I'm on the phone.
Hold them down.
I just figured I'd give you that little preview there.
I can pencil you in for like.
Well, luckily I've got to be back in the States for a little bit, so why not?
But naturally, that would be a session that both of us have to be player characters in. So Nick's going to have to figure out how to work a wedding into the larger.
Oh, is he going to crash your wedding?
Who knows? Maybe. Nick's
I got some ideas.
Nick's gonna kill Rook's bride.
Oh.
Oh, there's
Daryl. And Nick,
Daryl, Delta Green. Killing is merciful.
Nick, let me just say right here and now. Let me just say right here and now. Don't you dare, because his currently in the timeline girlfriend is very heavily inspired by Winona Ryder. So don't you dare.
No. In Delta Green, there are fates far worse than that.
Nick. You do that. I bring a calculator.
Put back that Raven symbol.
That's one way I could drive Nick mad in one of my Delta Green sessions, is that I'm going to have the entity or the monster related around math.
This is true.
We've killed Nick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he'll come back. But yes, we've talked about that. But I guess the big question is, how do you make a religion? And we're not going to say, no, you do not have to go full deep dive. You got to go every single tenet, every single made up sacrament you think of. Just kind of in the broad stroke, just think, what do they believe in? Is this one of those religions that is more about a set of tenets? Do they actually have a god, goddess, entity thing they actually worship? Are they more of a moral, philosophical type of religion?
Usually the quickest way is to go from the top down.
Exactly.
Is there a deity?
Yeah, is there a deity?
So you could, that starts with like, it can't be an actual, like, this is a deity. It has powers and it has access on the world. It could be just incredibly powerful and people believe it to be a deity.
Yes, it could just be basically the D&D method. Like, is it one of the deities, or is it just a big, powerful beast or entity that people are just treating as a deity?
Is it just something that collectively they believe exists, but they have no proof of it being, but they believe that there is a deity there, which can then filter down. Power. Does it have power on the world?
Now, when I did the Holy Church of the Instrumentality, I was fortunate in that since I was lifting it from the Dreadstar comic, dropping it into Star Wars and making tweaks for it to fit into Star Wars, Jim Starlin did a lot of that heavy lifting for me already.
Hmm.
So I already had the fact that there were the 12 gods of the instrumentality. And all of that was already there. But that's a great place to start first. And like you were saying at the intro to this portion of the topic, you don't need to come up with every word of everything that the church believes in, that the
Yeah,
religion
you
believes.
don't need to go full R. Tolkien on it. You don't need to
Yeah,
do that.
Yeah, there are.
you
You just
you
honestly, you'd be surprised, and this is sort of a GM sort of like behind the screen sort of thing. It's like just a little bit goes a long way. You don't
yeah,
have to
the,
put a whole bunch into it. Just in just you'd be surprised how little it takes to get them to buy in.
Hmm.
and what I found was very useful. Useful is a better word than helpful
Mhm.
for me. Was that I had their overarching philosophy, that whole, instrumentality of the force, and AI like droids and things like that are sacrilege because they are an imitation of life. Bad thing. Bad thing. That allowed me the freedom to, in sessions where I was using the instrumentality, to introduce smaller details here and there.
Again, that's
Allow,
the way you start with the broad stroke,
yeah,
and then in the scenes with like characters, like is someone praying? Is someone practicing?
Yeah, it's
So
basically,
fill in the detail then.
yeah, you get the entity or whatever they believe in, and then you just think, okay, how would a believer look like in practice? Do they pray? Do they meditate?
Are
If
they
it's one,
wearing specific clothing? Do they have a specific uh, iconography, a religious symbol, a weapon?
what do they view as sins and what do they view as virtues? That
How
can
do they
go a
interact
long
with
way
it?
to establish how they act.
How do they interact with an average person? That goes a
Hmm.
long way before you interact with like the player character.
And then once you have that, you can now think, okay, now the organization of the actual entity. Is there a hierarchy? Is it more freestyle? Just like everyone does what they believe is the right way? Or is there a hierarchy of power in the entity? Can it change? Are they voted in? Is it more like a dynastic, like once they die, their child becomes a new one?
Do they
Or is
gather
it
in a specific location, or is it just they know each other and they just sort of practice in private?
is their temperament more pacifistic? Or do they have a hint of martial in them, like they're not afraid to spread their religion by force? Or are they more letting people come to them or going to them, telling them what they believe and just waiting to see how they respond, not trying to force them into it like you will join us or you will be cured?
Are they
now,
actively just looking at citizens for recruitment, or are they trying to get themselves into like the local government or businesses?
and I'll, another thing to consider too, have they been multiple of these things through time, through history? Uh,
Again, AIDS as
for
well. Like,
example, did they start off as, you know, more, I don't know what the word I'm looking for here is. Did they start off as more, uh, or actually probably less engaged with others directly regarding their belief system? And over time, did they become more militant and militarized?
again, we the best way is again like we do always go back to Star Wars, like the founding of the Jedi Order.
Yeah,
was a
it
group with
was
scholars
initially
and
yes,
religious monks across just brought to Tython
yeah, who initially just stayed there, let the galaxy do its thing until the
and
Republic
learned
came to them, and they
and
were like,
learned about the
"Okay,
power
we'll join you."
and they eventually became part of the wider galaxy, but they also had their own infighting, which caused the first Great Schism.
Yes, and that's
Well,
also
and
got a thing you got to ask: do you want there to be two different religions out of the same thing? That was because of a schism.
like going to what I was talking about there, it kind of using the instrumentality as an example again. The way I kind of saw it, I don't think I ever actually expressed this to the players because it wasn't anything that came up, so they wouldn't necessarily know. But originally, the Holy Church of the Instrumentality was more insular and more focused inward.
Hmm.
And at some point, they at
Like a
some point
change in leadership.
a change in leadership that was sparked by, kind of the forces of the galaxy as droids became more commonplace and things like that. That change in leadership and pushback from the galaxy's lifestyle as a whole caused them to become more, not extroverted but more forceful in trying to spread the word. What began as protecting their beliefs verged on becoming a crusade.
Yeah, like kind of that belief of if we believe this to be a sacrament, why aren't we stopping this?
Yes.
Or like,
So,
I'm actually thinking this isn't religious wise, but as kind of like the movie The Black Panther, where
Yeah.
Wakanda is very isolated. They literally have like a shield hiding their advanced civilization.
Mhm.
And then the outsider comes in and is like, why are we doing this? We got to be sharing this with the rest of the world. Come on, let's bring our brothers out of poverty, bring them out of the
Yeah.
muck instead of just hoarding it.
and when you factor in a charismatic leader who knows how to push dogma, does that also mean that the everyday rank and file adherence to that
Creates conflict
theology?
with people being like,
Well,
well, the
well,
ways that we had before can still work, and others are like, no, we agree with the new. Yeah,
well.
it creates an interesting conflict.
Also, does that almost force the rank and file adherents to become more dogmatic
Yes, and that
because you have that charismatic leader who has this push that they're appealing to what you believe are your better angels
Mhm.
because we're trying to spread this good thing to more people and they don't want to hear it, so here's how we're going to do it.
Again,
And
these all create again like what most people do. The key fundamental of all storytelling is a conflict. It
yes,
could be small, it could be large, it could be within a group, such as a religious group that has a conflict within its own leadership and growing, or externally, a religious group acting on another group.
yes, and I think a good thing to remember is with any group, political, business, religious, no matter what you do,
They are not a monolith.
there is never going to be a 100% united front, barring like hive mind situations where they're literally all just
right.
one thing. There's always going to be conflict, things of like, I think this is the better way to do it, or this is the better practice to adhere to these ideals, or like I can do business better this way by doing this, or
Some may feel it's like
society
I
will
can
so much
see
better if I do X. No, we should do Y instead, etc.
I can see the benefits of what this charismatic individual is doing, but maybe they're going too far in one area, but I don't have the power to stop them.
Yeah, we're saying
Again,
you can make your religious institution complex, or if you just want to go with a full no, this is just a cult who wants to bring their god in here to enslave the entire world, yeah, you can have the straight on bad guys.
But again, the main factor is like there were always it's what makes sense for the story, and often it is, though, a thorny issue to bring about. It is a conflict generator, and
Yes,
that's what a lot of narratives pivot around.
yeah, and it's never a bad thing that if what you're doing and the player characters respond in a certain way, or it evokes a conflict even within the group, because maybe, like we've talked about, some people may be part of this religious group or be leaning towards it or find their beliefs to be good, or like in our D&D campaign, the Church of the Silver Flame is against shifters, and one of our characters is a shifter, so
That
she is
influences
very
off.
very on the other side, like, I want nothing to do with these people, they'll just kill me.
But the Silver Flame has no general problem with most of the other players, and honestly have been shown to be doing, though a bit heavy-handed. You've all seen like they are doing their best.
Yes, and correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, but they're not really expansive. They're more just in one place, right?
Currently, they were expansive during the war. Now that the war's on pause, they are just consolidating where they are.
Yes. And that's also a thing to think about with your religious institution. Like, basically, kind of like anything at the end, what is their goal? Do they want to spread it over in the entire setting to where everyone is a believer? Do they just want to be left to their own devices? Do they, I don't know, even want to like leave the setting? Like, we don't want to deal with any of you. We want to go somewhere else. Kind of like
I'll
how
say without
the Pilgrims
spoilers
went to
that
America to be like, so we
yeah,
can practice over here instead.
I'll say that without spoilers for the campaign and most interpretations of the Silver Flame in Everon games, they are, or less, they do think that they should be the religion overall, but they aren't going to reignite the war on their own.
True.
If
True.
war restarts, then they will expand to end the war.
Yeah. We were saying like bad or good, complex or simple.
Again, like Everon's a very complex system with a lot of different orders. There's two sets, the Dark Six and the Sovereign Host, but both are not considered bad or evil. They're just like two sides of the same coin.
Yes. And it's just however you do it, complex, simple, good or bad, free thinking or organized, militant or pacifist. You
Cult.
can cult or more established. You can do a lot of things with
They add
creating
a
your own
lot of
religion.
flavor to your world and a lot of easy, good world building. It's just with having a bit of religion in there because people always believe in things.
Yes, and it's also a good idea to think on your setting, like, would a religion like this actually fit in this world? For example, like an established like fantasy like religion like the Silver Flame or the Church of the Church
Sovereign
that you made.
Host.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That wouldn't really fit in a cyberpunk campaign.
No,
Where it's all about dystopian, there is no
is
religion. The religion is money.
religion.
The religion
Well,
is money.
the actual
Living.
religion is money, but there are those that are monks that do believe in like
Yeah.
sort of.
There are
But
monks. There are still like
they're the outlier.
churches. Yeah, there's
They
still
are the
monks. There are
outliers.
still churches, but they're the outliers. They're not the main focus. Your main focus in the cyberpunk campaign is getting enough money to make rent next month so you don't sleep on the street.
But that gives a unique flavor in the areas. It's like, yeah, you see these places of people clinging to the old time religions.
Yeah, so you also got to think, okay, would this fit here? Would this fit there? You always got to play to your setting, of course.
Like, but when most people wouldn't think of like a pastor as being like a good choice for Delta Green, when it makes a lot of sense when especially when you came to me with the concept of your character. It's like, yeah, the Catholic Church is old enough to be to be knowledgeable of certain things, and also secretive enough with the church, at the exorcism side of things.
Yes.
Even in a world where arguably there is no traditional Judeo-Christian God in that cosmology, it's the nature of the belief and power that exists throughout that.
Yeah, and still in this universe, it's still the modern world, and there are still the modern religions in it.
Yeah,
Even if in that setting they might not be entirely real as they are in our world.
yeah. It is part of the fun of the imagination and world building.
Yeah,
Honestly,
and
it
you just
gives
go
you all
crazy
that
with
stuff.
it.
Yeah, you
Yeah, go
can
crazy with it. Like
do.
if you see, like, always a good example is like D&D, how they just took it and ran with it. There are so many gods, goddesses, dark gods, good gods, devil kings. There's everything in there.
Every like depending on the setting, every single race has their own set of gods who may or may not be the same gods for everybody, or just entirely separate for everybody.
Exactly. And
Like
then
it
there's
could
also
be like, oh, the human god is named this, and the elf god is named this, and the dwarf god is named this, or it's like, no, there's the elf gods, the dwarf gods, and the human gods, and the other human gods.
yeah, and the drow and the dwegar and the orc and the goblins. But this actually brings me to another point. It's like, okay, you've got your religion, you got their tenets, you got how they're organized, how they act. Do they actually maybe give players or NPCs of that religion any type of powers? And if so, how are those powers
Can they
used or acted
communicate?
out? Like
Can they
Daryl
communicate with
says,
the
they use
deity?
the Force by basically using prayer chants.
Yeah.
Well, or
Yep.
like the Night Sisters do incantations. Well, if your religion gives the people in it some type of powers, how is that shown? Like, do they have to do like intricate tattoos on their bodies, and when they use the power of their religion or their god, do they light up, and that's how they can use magic?
Do they
Or
need
they
a special like a symbol or like item that's like been blessed in a
are they
certain
known?
way
Yeah,
to
are they
channel
known
their
for
power?
like scepters? Are they known for like talismans? Are they known for like spell books or religious books?
Can they actually communicate with the deity? It's like, can they just be like hop on a call and be like, hey, give me some guidance and stuff like that, or they need to go to someplace special or sacred to like meditate and commune with the being?
Yeah, do they have holy sites? Do they actually have like sites like this is a holy site? People go to pilgrimage here. Do they use temples? Do they have just simple houses?
It is
Do they
again
have
like
like
is the whole
circles?
holy ground like to go back to a fun reference Highlander had some really fun rules about like
Oh,
religious sites,
definitely. And
whereas like
and
you can't
and
fight on
those
holy
rules
ground.
and those rules evolved as it went from what was ostensibly a standalone movie in the mid 80s to a multi-season TV series in the 90s.
But it's like it expanded on like what was holy ground, where could you, because like you can't fight on holy ground, and it's like
Or
what
like
is that? It's all from like churches, from churches to graveyards to other religious sites. It's like we can't fight holy ground, we commune here.
And originally, that was just a rule that they all followed in the movie. And then as the TV series went on, they expanded on that lore and said, no, there's a power to that holy ground that affects them. The last
You
time,
literally cannot fight
yeah,
on holy ground.
the last time two immortals fought on holy ground was in Pompeii.
ooh, that's nice. Or
It was like
can they actually invoke like an avatar of their god to actually come down?
like can they summon down the power of the Lord to smite their enemy? Or is it like something that has to be done through them that they can only do?
Or if they break their tenets, can they actually be abandoned by their religion, by their deity, kind of like how a paladin does if they break their oath?
They become a dark paladin. They lose their honor, they lose their connection, but they do gain dark powers from a different source.
Exactly. Or heck,
Like
did they even choose to be in this religion? Because we've seen sometimes that a deity or an entity will latch onto someone and be like, "You're mine now."
are you chosen to become a part of this? Are you chosen to be their messenger, their prophet? Like people say, like, oh, the angels come and they say, be not afraid. It's like, you should be afraid if they're coming in their true form. That means you're a prophet.
And,
They're coming with responsibility now, and you can't say no to that.
and that kind of concept was explored, not stepping out of RPGs for a moment, but in comics, the superhero, the Spectre, who dates back to the Golden Age.
Yeah.
As time went on, originally the Spectre was just the ghost of a policeman who was killed by mobsters, and he
Pretty simple, pretty basic.
Yeah, but as time went on, they added to his lore that they established that the Judeo-Christian God exists in the DC universe, but doesn't take an active role in any stories. And to avoid stepping on anyone's toes or beliefs, they refer to this entity as the Presence. But the Spectre, they added to the lore that the Spectre was identified as God's angel of vengeance, given human form. And when Jim Corrigan, the cop, died, the Spectre took over Corrigan's body.
And acted through him as a superhero spirit of vengeance.
Yeah, and once they added that element, some of the stories went super cosmic in scale and scope, or at least in the way he dealt with enemies.
Did he turn a guy into like a constantly burning mats?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, it's a good point. Is your NPC or player character like the Spectre? Are they a Spawn? Are they a Ghost Rider?
Yeah, those are great examples as well. Yeah, like sort of like entities that have been. They are embodying a great deal of power, but also contained by their own limitations. Obviously, in terms of RPGs and also stories, their role in the story.
Yeah, and also, does your religion have an enemy, like an opposing force, like Jedi and Sith, something like that? Does your deity have a dark deity that they're always fighting against, like how D&D have like gods, like kind of like Bahamut and Tiamat, like kind of like opposing dragon gods?
Like there's so many ways to look at the situation of religion that honestly we probably just barely scratched the.
Oh, we barely scratched the surface. If we actually went into like details of like what you could pull from other religions, like the Earth's entire history of religions, we could be here.
When we could think about like how to craft a full religion, if we did, we'd probably make our own Scientology, and we wouldn't be having the podcast.
So, creating a fantasy religion, future episode.
I think that sounds like a possibility.
Just throwing that out.
Definitely. Oh, and they've kind of hinted on this in especially in some of the ancillary media, and Nick touched on it, and Free League has touched on it. A religion that springs up worshiping the xenomorphs.
I could see that happening.
It's in a lot of the media of like
Yep.
I know.
Like
No,
the old
Dead
Dark
Space
Souls
even had
comics, the
that.
Church of Immaculate Conception, the two divines. Like there's a whole lot in there. There's like, but that's also based around like these xenomorphs' psychic presence.
And it's always true. It's like an innate human response when you are faced with something you don't understand, or that's just so much powerful for you. You can treat it as a deity.
Well, and
Ooh, don't say pestilence, Nick. You're gonna get my Skaven rising.
well,
It's pestilence.
and if you're going to bring, say, Greek god, if you're going to bring, say, the Greek gods into it, there's also the question of, so are we going with the idea that the Greek and Roman gods are the same entities known by different names? Or are they two pantheons that have the same abilities and functions and either have a truce or a conflict with one another?
Yes. Or is there a cataclysmic event with that pantheon or with that religion in your campaign? Like, did that entire pantheon have a Kratos moment where he killed everybody, and now
Because,
the entire humanity is left to pick up the pieces?
because and part of that whole are they the same or are they different comes from how a lot of mass media conflates the two. Because you'll have stories that refer to Zeus and Hercules, the Greek and Roman names,
Mm-hmm.
instead of
When it's
Zeus and Heracles.
yeah. Also, I'm going to say a controversial thing. Pluto's a planet.
Where's the controversial thing?
Yeah, where is that, Nick? You know, we're old enough that that was still a thing in our time.
I'm just saying, someone's going to we're going to be in the comments being like, "Oh, actually, it's a dwarf planet." Like, nope, get out of here.
What's
Four
the second
planets
word?
is still planet.
Still
Yeah,
planet,
what's the second word of that phrase?
planet.
There you go.
Like, I think a dwarf sun is still a sun. I don't think anyone's going to argue that.
It's
Same
like
thing with a planet.
if I throw you into the sun or the dwarf sun, I'm pretty sure the same thing's going to happen.
Yep.
Indeed.
But yes, I don't know.
Is there
Anything else we want to
else
touch
we
on?
wanted?
I think
That's
we're pretty
exactly what I
good.
was going to say.
I think we're pretty good on the concept of like it again, like many people have talked about these topics, and probably, I mean, possibly there are more knowledgeable people about us on these topics. But I'm gonna air that we're pretty knowledgeable.
Wait, Robert, if we reached the end of everything that we wanted to talk about, we totally should have bagged on Nick for Pluto's a planet.
No, I'm
Well,
saying we all agree on that. That's fact.
well,
We do, but we need to pick on you about something if we're reaching the end of the
well,
show.
you know, Nick, he really just wants it to be a planet because he wants it to be bigger. We all know how he likes big jugs. And he totally got that for his birthday.
He likes big planets and he cannot lie. You other astronomers can't deny.
Oh,
Got that orbit on him.
no, it's all about the mass.
Well, let's calculate the mass, shall we?
Yes. We know. Do you remember the force of gravity, Nick? Well, I think we met our quota.
We orbited all around back to it.
Yep. So at this point, I will, as always, remind everyone to check out our website at howwerollgaming.com. And there you'll find information about our current campaigns, podcast archive, and links to our merch store and all of our social media.
Yep. You can also directly support the show through Patreon. Just go to patreon.com/howwerollgaming, and you'll see our different membership tiers starting at just $2 a month, with special recognition on our Discord server and higher tiers giving you on-air credit and discounts on said merch store.
And
Finally,
while
if you
real
have
quick, Nick, before you do that last part, just a reminder: as we are recording this through the end of 2025, we are still offering a special discount on our Patreon membership. That if you sign up by December 31st, 2025, you will get 50% off of your first month's support of
wow.
our wonderful podcast.
Yes, and our designer team works very well on the merch store, so definitely take a look.
Finally, if you have any questions you'd like us to answer, topics you'd like us to cover, or even submit your own RPG glory story, shoot us an email at podcast@howwerollgaming, and also how you feel about like religion in games. Some people, again, it is a topic that many people would like to talk about.
Yes, and just want to say now, this episode marks the end of the first year of the podcast. So we want to give a year-end.
Yay!
Yep.
Woo!
So we want to give a year-end thanks to our families, friends, and players for helping us find time and material for the show.
We also want to thank the D20 Radio Network for bringing us into the fold, as well as the guests we've had this year, GM Chris and Nate from Tabletop Empire. You helped us make this a first great year, along with all of you viewers at
Thank you.
home.
Yep, and finally, we want to thank all of you for listening or watching if you choose YouTube. We started the podcast by diving into the deep end, and we thank you for letting us mix metaphors and being along for the ride as we figured all of this stuff out. We wish you an incredible and successful new year and humbly invite you to join us in 2026 as we continue having fun sharing our love of games because
Oh, can we say it all together?
Indeed.
Because
Because
that
that
is
Is
how
how
we
we
roll.
roll.